This video contains major spoilers for Persona 5 Royal. The 10th card in the Tarot deck, number 9, the Hermit. It represents introspection, self-reflection, and solitude. In the Persona series, the Hermit is usually associated with a character who attempts to mask themselves from the outside world. However, much like in real life, the Hermit has valid reasons for hiding away their true self. And that is no different for Persona 5. The Hermit Arcana is that of Futaba Sakura. I'm Ouroboros. Let's talk. If you missed my video on the Fool's Journey, I would recommend that you watch it before jumping into this series. It goes over the Fool's Journey and gives a brief rundown of each of the major arcana, so go check it out. Anyway, like I said earlier, the Hermit Arcana usually reflects a character who has withdrawn in some capacity from society. I mean, there's a reason it's called the Hermit. They have strayed away from typical social situations and even achieved their goals anonymously. It's their own form of escapism. Unfortunately, this comes at the cost of loneliness. We can take a look at the actual tarot card to gain some more insight into this. It depicts an old man standing alone at the top of a mountain, a representation of his accomplishments throughout life. He holds two things, a lantern and a staff. The six-pointed star inside the lantern is also known as the Seal of Solomon, which represents wisdom, and the staff is indicative of his authority. Unlike some of the other tarot cards, the Hermit isn't another person that the Fool meets, but rather, it is the point when he begins to question nearly everything around him. He starts to search for the truth, not necessarily because he is curious, but because he needs to find a reason why things are the way they are. That, introspection, is where the Hermit comes from. It doesn't necessarily mean that the Fool is lonely. It means that he has withdrawn to better understand. He has withdrawn to give himself time to think. He has withdrawn to give himself time to reach out to the truth. Wait. But it's only by looking inward does the Fool gain a better understanding of the search for knowledge. And most importantly, he learns more about himself. Futaba is pretty obviously a hermit, both in the normal, everyday sense of the word, but also within the context of the tarot deck. They're related, of course, but with some notable differences. She initially contacts you anonymously as Alibaba. Right off the bat, she exhibits clear signs of the reversed hermit. She can't accept herself, so she hides behind an alias. She is so self-isolated that it takes a lot of convincing to even get her to meet you in person. She's completely lost her way following the death of her mother, and utterly isolated herself from the rest of society. It's pretty cut and dry, but what I like the most is when you compare early Futaba to the upright meanings. I've mentioned how the Hermit is all about self-reflection, introspection, and searching for the truth. All of these things are the exact opposite of what Futaba was doing before and during her story arc. She knows that something was fishy about Wakaba's suicide, but chose not to pursue it, whether it was out of fear of the truth, or because she was so caught up in her own grief. She couldn't bear to reflect on her actions when her mother was alive. We see hints of the relationship during the pyramid infiltration with the murals. They are the distorted version of some of their interactions. She believes that she was nothing but a nuisance to her mother, and that was the cause of her suicide. Once we get to her awakening, though, her shadow essentially tells her the truth that Futaba has been so unwilling to accept. She's incredibly reminiscent of Persona 4 in that case. She accepts that she has been blind to the truth. That is the instant she turns a corner. Her search for the truth has been completed, and she awakens to her persona. However, I think that the events following the story arc allow her to settle into her new life even more. She's been a shut-in for probably a few years now, and was socially awkward even before then, as we see in her confidant. So she needs to work to change those habits. She's built up a life that isn't conducive to social interaction, so while she has grown into her shoes as the hermit, she's still, well, a bit of a hermit. Important distinction there. And we do see her gradually open up, not only during the events immediately after the pyramid heist, but also throughout her confidant and various scenes in the game. she progressively needs less and less help going out on her own, and becomes more comfortable around strangers, to the point that she realizes that she doesn't need you anymore. But she does want you around. Which is such a big difference and such a big moment of character growth. She's gone from the scared little shut-in to a person who wants to be around people. Fortunately, she can still use her Hermit-esque tendencies as an excuse, as evident by her planting the bug on Akechi's phone. There are some scenes exclusive to Royal that I do want to bring up. When she is still in her still a hermit but not a complete loner phase, Maruki visits LeBlanc. She basically hides behind Sojiro while he and Maruki talk, but immediately comes out of her shell once she realizes that Maruki has an interest in cognitive science. It's a nice little touch that shows that even in her early stages of growing, she is still capable of social interaction, but it does have to be something that she's passionate about. I think we can all relate to that at least a little bit. Even now, I tend to stay quiet with a group of new people to help give me time to read them and how they act around each other and what they like. But of course, the big one, the third semester and Wakaba's revival. This really stung. More than Shiho doing well, Morgana becoming human, Haru and her father living a happy life. I think it's because we see her struggle to accept that her mother is gone for the entire game. So when she finally has everything that she's ever wanted, she struggles to leave it all behind. We basically don't know Futaba when Wakaba wasn't alive. We hear short anecdotes, but seeing it is tough. Unlike the others, I think Futaba has by far the most reservations leaving Maruki's reality. When most of the Phantom Thieves apologize and say that they are standing firm in the rebellion against Maruki, Futaba wavers. She still chooses to side with you, but it's so obvious that there's inner turmoil within her. I'm so glad Atlas chose to add this shade of gray to the dilemma, because it simultaneously undoes much of her character growth, but also removes the instigating reason for it. Futaba's a fan favorite for a reason. She has tons of goofy moments throughout the game. She's originally a character I wasn't too crazy about. I thought she was a little too much of a gamer dweeb stereotype, and I put off doing her confidant because of that. But when I went to play it, she grew on me so much. I think her journey from depressive beginnings to slightly more confident and socially able person make for a really compelling character who many can relate to. She isolated herself, not to search for the truth, but to run from it, and even hide who she really was from the Phantom Thieves. Futaba's eventual acceptance of her mother's death and journey towards becoming a socially adept member of society is the culmination of her journey as the Hermit of Persona 5. Thanks for watching.